Hello, my beautiful people. I hope you are so well. I'm so excited to have you here once again. Now, let's get straight into it.
Allegedly. Allegedly. Oh, allegedly. My people, my people, my people.
Today, we'll be talking about a very deep investigation into political criminal entanglement. Okay, this is about a man that recently went guns blazing, saying, I am innocent, going to all these media places, explaining his story in different manners, and saying, I will prove my innocence. And just last week, he took an oath back again into his office of the MMC. Maybe he may need to get out once again because things are not making sense. This is a place in South Africa where we are literally standing on crossroads between justice and impunity, my people. Kunene, who is the Johannesburg's Transport MMC and Deputy President of the Patriotic Alliance, is now at the center of explosive allegations that have apparently threatened to expose the deepest cracks in our justice system, okay? The accusation that we are hearing now is the fact that he, my people, is said to have personally paid 400,000 rand, not 400 rand, not 4,000 rand, not 40,000 rand, 400,000 rand, yes, to secure the bail for alleged crime kingpin Kunene-Molefe. This, my people, is shocking information, but this story actually goes far deeper than one payment, okay? This is about a very concerning pattern that needs us to kind of figure out what's going on. There are a lot of connections and a network of so much power that operates in the shadows of our democracy. And it's our duty to make sure we understand what's going on, because there is a man in the middle, and this story is definitely going to be talking about that. Let's start with what we know for certain, okay? National Police Commissioner Fani Masimula didn't make a casual observation. He said a very formal statement and said Kunene was found twice at Kunene-Molefe's residence. Remember when we were told he was just found once? It was the first time, and he was going there to actually to make a story.
Now, news reports suggest that Kunene was at the Sandton home of Kunene-Molefe when police effected that arrest yesterday. Just given, based on the reports that have emerged, that you were at the home of Mr. Kunene-Molefe when the arrest was effected, is this in fact the case?
Yes, it is true that I was at the house of Mr. Molefe.
No one knows about it. He doesn't even know this man. My people, that's wrong.
And what was the nature of the visit? Are you guys perhaps close friends?
No, we are not friends.
The second time, my people, I'm sure you're sitting there trying to figure out when this was July 2025. This was obviously during Molefe's arrest. Police moved in on one of South Africa's most wanted men. The first time apparently was the circumstances remain so murky. They remain so unexplained. And to be honest, they remain deliberately vague, okay?
Now, when they went to Molefe's house to arrest him, they found a leader of the PA, Kunene, with Molefe, and they claimed there were other people, including a journalist. Are you aware of other people who were found in that house, or any journalist who was found in the house of Molefe when he was getting arrested?
I'm not... I'm aware that there was a journalist, but I don't know who. But I know that they did find Mr. Kunene at that house.
And a journalist. A journalist.
Yeah, the journalist, yes. I don't know who the journalist is, but I know that they did find Mr. Kunene there. Actually, it wasn't the first time. When they went for the second time, they found him there.
When they went for the first time for Molefe, they found Mr. Kunene there, and when they went the second time, they found Mr. Kunene there.
The first time he turned at the gate, they were inside busy. He came to the gate and they showed him the road, and luckily, whatever he got, he went for the road.
Now, the deputy president of the political party called the Patriotic Alliance is found at the home of an alleged crime boss, not just the crime partner, crime boss. Not once, but twice. We need to ask hard questions, okay? Kunene's initial explanation was that he was there to facilitate a media interview, right?
Mr. Molefe was a person where there was an opportunity to do a story with him. Remember that he has not spoken publicly since his arrest and whilst he was on bail. And so I facilitated with somebody that I know that knows Mr. Molefe. And Mr. Molefe agreed to do the interview, and the meeting was facilitated.
So you were there essentially as the editor-in-chief of the newspaper, facilitating an interview exclusively?
No, not as editor-in-chief. I am handing the platform as the owner to these young people because I don't have time for it with the work that I'm doing in the city. And but these matters are very sensitive. So the person that facilitated said, you have to bring the journalist, which I did. He sent me the address.
We understood that. We said, okay, it's fine. We believe you. Let's continue. Let's move on. However, a media interview at the home of a man that is accused of orchestrating murder, a man that is linked to the Big Five cartel, a man who represents everything that the law enforcement has been fighting against. Does that even sound plausible to you?
We used the address, we got there, we drove in. As we're in the driveway standing, I don't know if it's the son or one of the boys came running and saying the police are kicking the gate. And Mr. Molefe came out and they said, no, open the gate.
So just for clarity, you were yet to enter the premises as well. Is that what you're saying?
No, we're inside the premises.
So you're inside the premises?
In the driveway.
Okay, but there's two of you inside now. It's you and the young journalist you have come to introduce to Mr. Molefe.
No, it's me, the young journalist, and the person that is coming to introduce us to Mr. Molefe.
All right.
The person that has facilitated for the interview to happen. So before we could even go in the house or sit wherever we're going, the journalist will do an interview, then the police arrived. Rifles, Casper, V-classes.
But anyway, here's what makes it even more suspicious, my people. What business does a government transport official have with an alleged crime kingpin for reals? Now, we come to the allegations that set social media on fire. Currently, they're still alleged, but we must actually try and figure out what's going on in this whole story. According to EFF spokesperson Sinawo Tambo, Kunene didn't just visit Molefe. Guys, it's getting darker. He allegedly paid his bail, my people, 400,000 rand. Yes. So for context, that is more than most South Africans earn in 5 years. Maybe 10 for others, maybe 15, maybe in a lifetime in actual fact. That's the price of a decent house. In some parts of this country, that's not pocket change, my people. And it raises immediate questions. Where did this money come from? Why would a public official pay such an amount for a man who is accused of murder and organized crime, and his crimes and issues are literally in the media where everyone is glued to their screens like no other story?
It's sending a clear message to murder for hire syndicates that there will be justice, there will be accountability. We're of the opinion that a lot more people will now be able to come forward confidently, knowing that they themselves won't be put at risk.
I mean, even the Zondo Commission was not as much as the Madlanga Commission actually is currently. Not just the Madlanga, how Mkhwanazi has demanded our attention in South Africa is mind-blowing, okay? What did Kunene expect in return? That is something we really truly must ask ourselves, because that is how we will get our answers. Now, some defenders on social media are actually claiming that Molefe is wealthy. He's a wealthy man. He has enough money to pay his own bail. And in actual fact, I was reading the tweets as I was preparing for this story. And one person is saying, apart from the money, South Africa, what is stopping y'all to take it to the streets? What KT man is going to do is kill Mkhwanazi and Fanny, and we can't afford that. This is crazy. Others are saying South Africa is a movie, but in actual fact, there's just no surprise there, which is quite true, because that is not a good thing for us to think justice is not served in general. But here's another one, Hebana. So the man is lying when he says it was his first time there and he has no affiliation with him. Something is just not adding up here. We need General Khumalo. But this is the one I think is chilling. Kenny is found at the residence of KT during his arrest and gets suspended from his position. Kenny Kunene gets reinstated and KT gets bail. Beautiful coincidence. My people, I could not agree further, because that is the beautifulest, if there's such a word, coincidence, because it just does not make sense. He should have not gone back to take that oath and become an MMC, because what? If Molefe could afford his own bail, why would anyone else pay it? And more importantly, Commissioner Masimula's statement, let's go back there. His statement about Kunene's presence at the residence creates a pattern that money alone can never explain, my people. This is not about whether Molefe has money. This is about why a political figure would allegedly insert himself financially into a legal affair of an accused criminal that we all know to be part of the Big Five cartel. Why? So maybe we must sit down and try and understand this person. Who is KT Molefe? Because this on its own is so mind-boggling. For those who don't know the name, let me introduce you to KT Molefe, okay? This is not some small-time operator. According to law enforcement, Molefe is linked to the Big Five cartel. This is one of the most sophisticated organized crime networks that are operating in Johannesburg. The Big Five cartel, my people, is not just about drugs or illegal mining. No, it's about control. It's about territory. It is so much violence. It's about a criminal enterprise that operates like a corporation. It has enforcers, it has financial networks, and it has political connections. And at the center of this entire web is the man called Kunene-Molefe. But it actually gets darker, my people. Molefe stands accused of orchestrating the murder of DJ Somebody in November 2022. DJ Somebody, whose real name is actually Opa John Sifoka, was a beloved figure in South African entertainment. He was a very talented artist. He was a businessman and he was a father. Unfortunately, Opa was gunned down on Woodmead Drive in a haul of bullets. His bodyguard unfortunately died alongside him. This, my people, wasn't a random act of violence. This was an execution. And investigators actually truly believe that KT Molefe gave the order. So when we talk about Kenny Kunene's alleged connection to this man, we are not talking about some minor controversy that can be cleared or in whichever manner possible. We are talking about alleged ties between an elected official and people accused of murder, okay? Because at this point, we now have a very interesting judicial scandal. Now, let's talk about how Molefe actually walked free in the first place. Because this bail decision is as controversial as Kunene's alleged involvement, okay? But I want us to start with the first bail hearing that actually was just so unsuccessful at the Alexandra Magistrate Court.
The ruling of the court is one that affirms the rule of law, one that seeks to give hope to society out there that as the criminal justice system, we will stop at nothing to promote the safety of the entire members of South Africa. We have led evidence in court by way of affidavit of the investigating officer, citing the seriousness of the allegations that the accused before court is faced with. And not only did we present the evidence, but we also substantiated our allegations, presenting overwhelming evidence in court to the fact that the accused before court is a danger to society, that his release on bail may undermine the proper functioning of the criminal justice system, as well as the fact that he may evade his trial. He's an accused person that has financial muscle, one that has previously traveled abroad, including serving a sentence in the United Kingdom, and therefore there is likelihood that if granted bail, he will evade his trial. Also citing the fact that once, if convicted by the court, he faces a lengthy imprisonment term, and that on its own is motive enough for him to evade his trial.
Apparently, it is said that the Alexandra Magistrates Court heard Molefe's bail application and said, "Nope, you are going nowhere. You are staying here, sir." They looked at the evidence. They considered the severity of the charges. They assessed the flight risk and the danger to witnesses, and they denied bail. These were the real ones, okay? That on its own should have been the end of it, my people. A man who is accused of murder and organized crime stays behind bars until trial, because that's what we need. But then something else happens. Judge Brad Wanless of the Johannesburg High Court reviewed the case and overturned the magistrate's decision, my people. Suddenly, a man deemed too dangerous to release was walking free under, in inverted commas, strict bail conditions. Yes, but free nonetheless. Now, I'm not a judge. I can't see the legal arguments, that were presented, but I can read public statements. I can read public sentiments and how people feel. And right now, South Africans are truly asking, was this justice or was this influence? Yabona lento ya judiciary ayikho. This judiciary thing doesn't exist. That's not just anger. That, my people, is despair. That's the sound of citizens losing faith in the one institution that is supposed to protect them equally in actual fact. And how do we restore the dignity of the citizens of South Africa? Before we get there, we must talk about the politics of protection. I want us to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. Kunene is not just any politician. He is the deputy president of the Patriotic Alliance. This is a party that positions itself as tough on crime and very pro-law enforcement. The irony is almost just too perfect. A party that campaigns on cleaning up crime, a party that promises to restore order to South African streets, and now one of its most prominent figures is allegedly paying bail for an accused crime boss. But here's where it gets even more complicated. Kunene was previously investigated for his July visit to Molefe's residence.
This is the story that we're looking at now. An investigation into alleged criminal connections involving Patriotic Alliance Deputy President Kunene has cleared him of any wrongdoing. The investigation was commissioned by the party after Kunene was found at the Sandton home of Kunene-Molefe in July when police pounced on the controversial businessman.
A forensic report from the law firm said to be Cliff Decker Hofmeyer cleared him, my people, of his wrongdoing.
You must feel relieved that you have been cleared now by this report.
Yes, I indeed feel relieved. I feel vindicated. But I've always maintained my innocence. But I'm happy that a reputable firm in Cliff Decker Hofmeyer was commissioned to do this investigation. This is what they do. And they've come to this conclusion.
I went through the report this afternoon. I noticed that they spoke to you, they spoke to the editor of this news agency, the journalist, and this Jabu gentleman that will not be, of course, mentioned, the one who connected you to Kunene-Molefe. Why didn't they speak to the police as well? I understand with Kunene-Molefe because he's in jail. Did they not want to hear the version from the police?
I don't know. That question will have to go to them. I really don't know why they didn't speak to the police. They never discussed it with me.
Okay. But do you understand why it would have been important for them to get the side of the police? So that it's not just one side of the story where it's people that are connected to you that are, of course, going to corroborate your version. And I'm not saying your version was wrong, but it would help to get another side, like get to the police and say, what did you notice about Kenny Kunene when he was at this house?
Yeah, I think I mentioned what transpired there. The police were not there for me, and but I wouldn't know why they didn't speak to the police. I think they felt that they were not an important aspect of this investigation. But I don't know, I can't answer for them.
The Patriotic Alliance's leader, Gayton McKenzie, has even suggested publicly that Kunene was exonerated.
Kenny Kunene will be investigated, and I'm going to tell you who's going to investigate him. Lawyers of good character. And while he's being investigated, I'm going to remove him from being a MMC. I'm going to write to them. I'm also going to tell him to stand back from politics for 1 month until the investigation is done. That's the hardest thing I ever had to do in my life. It's the hardest thing. To act against Kenny Kunene. Yeah, it's the hardest thing I ever had to do. So the DP is innocent. They investigated, they interviewed people. You'll read for yourself. I'm giving it to the Patriotic Alliance members. And this is where you will get your news, when they write stuff about you. So to the DP, I want to say to you, I'm so happy. Our DP, my brother, my friend, my co-leader, thank you. The DP has been found that the story checks out. So Liam will resign tonight as a councillor because he's moving to Cape Town. He's going to live in Cape Town full time because he has to travel around the country, and you'll hear the instructions tonight what every day he'll have to go and do. So to the DP, you've shown absolute leadership. When you were asked to step down from being an MMC, you asked me, must I also step down as a councillor? I said, yes. You stepped down from being a councillor. You never went out to go and badmouth the party.
One Twitter user at the time referenced this, saying, Gayton, he said he was clear the most. But that's definitely not the truth, I guess, or maybe not entirely. Because that clearance was about his presence at the home during the arrest. It was about whether he obstructed justice or interfered with police operations. This new allegation, my people, that he paid the bail is a completely different matter. You can be cleared of one accusation and still face scrutiny for another. And right now, the Patriotic Alliance has gone toot silent. No statement, no denial, no explanation. In politics, silence is often the loudest answer. The EFF decided to do what and say, let's respond and actually try and figure out this public rage. So the EFF's Sinawo Tambo is not just making noise. He is calling for a parliamentary ad hoc committee to investigate what he calls a captured justice system. And the public response has been volcanic, my people. Another invoked KZN Police Commissioner, General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, actually also had a very tough stance. It should be up to God to forgive criminals, implying that law enforcement has lost its teeth. This, my people, isn't just political theater. This seems to be genuine fear and frustration from ordinary citizens who feel that their justice system has been sold to the highest bidder. When a police commissioner confirms that a political figure was found twice at an alleged crime boss's home, is that fiction?
Mr. Kunene there. Actually, it wasn't the first time. Even when they went for the second time, they found him there.
When they went for the first time for Molefe, they found Mr. Kunene there, and when they went the second time, they found Mr. Kunene there.
Yeah, the first time he turned at the gate, they were inside busy. He came to the gate and they showed him the road. And luckily, whatever he got, he went for the road.
When bail that was denied suddenly gets approved, is that a screenplay? No. This is real life, okay? And the consequences are real. So, what does this mean for South Africa? Let's step back and analyze what's really at stake here. This case represents a convergence of three crises. Number one, the political accountability. If elected officials can maintain relationships with alleged criminals without consequence, what message does that send truly? Number two, there is an issue with judicial integrity. If bail decisions can be overturned under suspicious circumstances, do we still have an independent judiciary? Three, organized crime infiltration. If cartels have connections to government figures, how deep does that corruption go? These aren't abstract questions, my people. They affect every South African. They affect whether you can trust the police to protect you, whether you believe criminals will face justice, whether you think your vote matters in a system that might already be captured. The EFF is demanding a parliamentary investigation. They want to know, how widespread are political criminal connections? Are other officials also compromised? Has organized crime infiltrated government at multiple levels? And here's the uncomfortable truth. Even if you don't support the EFF, these are questions every South African should want answered. So where does this leave us truly? Kunene has not answered these allegations publicly. No press conference, no direct statement to the people he serves.
So if you're not 100% sure, as the number one cop in this country, understanding the rules of our criminal justice system, how can you, General, knowing that you're not sure, sit here in front of all South Africans and state as fact that Kenny Kunene was there twice?
Thanks, Honorable Chair. When I say not 100% sure, I mean me. I wasn't there, but the team, I believe them. They say one of the occasions was in the house. One of the occasions, they turned him at the gate.
Your team is not testifying.
Oh, yes.
Parliament has not yet convened an ad hoc committee, particularly for the judicial issues. The EFF's call, though, for this investigation continues to hang in the air, unanswered. The NPA has not indicated whether they're examining potential bail interference or maybe political corruption, and it would be amazing to hear that they are considering such things.
We were not expecting such an outcome. However, as the NPA, we take it on the chin and we move forward in terms of studying the judgment of the court and to determine or craft a strategy in terms of dealing with the matter going forward.
The judge is saying most of the allegations are speculative. What is your reaction on that?
We were still dealing with the bail application stage, where the onus lies with the accused to prove that indeed there is an existence of exceptional circumstances which, in the interest of justice, permitted his release on bail. So the burden was more on the side of the accused than on us as a state. We have presented enough material as the state, though the onus was not on us. We believe that the investigating officer did a sterling work, working closely with the prosecutor. They presented enough evidential material to show the court the seriousness of the offences that the accused are facing, as well as information that supported our submission that he is a flight risk and that he is a danger to society, as well as the fact that there is a possibility of him intimidating our witnesses as the state. So we were of the view as the NPA that we have provided the court with sufficient information for it to arrive at an informed decision, and that the lower court had no misdirection on its part in terms of applying the principles of the law as well as in assessing the facts that were presented before it. However, the court arrived at a different conclusion, and as the NPA, for now, we accept the court's decision. We will go and study the judgment.
The silence, my people, is deafening, because this is how democracy dies. Not with a bang, but with silence, with shrugged shoulders and cynical acceptance that this is just how things are. Today, South Africa stands at a crossroads. On one side is a path where political connections can buy freedom for alleged murderers. This is where justice is negotiable. This is where ordinary citizens are subject to the full force of the law, while the connected operate above it. On the other side is a path where accountability matters. No one is above the law, where a politician found twice at a criminal kingpin's home faces real scrutiny. Kunene-Molefe will face trial, that much is certain. But will Kunene face the same scrutiny? Will our justice system prove it can investigate its own compromises? Will Parliament have the courage to dig into uncomfortable truths? Because if we don't demand answers now, we are accepting a future where justice in South Africa isn't blind, but it's for sale. And the price is 400,000 Rand. This, my people, is still a developing story. The facts will continue to emerge, but one thing is already clear. South Africa is watching, and we will not forget.
Allegedly. Allegedly. Oh, allegedly. My people, my people, my people.